This week's exercise is an exercise which in some ways draw a little bit on the shape that we have been working with. We start off by drawing a little valley. So we draw a little valley, come up into a big hill, round down, and then we draw a little valley again, but then we loop around and curve in to create a loop, and then we come back out and curve around, so we're creating a loop on the other side. So in effect, this part of the form is the part that we have been working with previously, and this is the form that you need to practice. You have to practice and practice and practice this form. It's important that you get this form right and that it's harmonious, because we'll be using it in a really complex form later on. So the form that you need to really get is the whole of this form. So I'll just show you what I mean by this form being the similar thing. If you turn that around, then you'll have the form which looks like this. So I hope you can see that this looping part, and then rounding and then looping is just like this. So if you moved this round, it would actually be the same. And if you then even curve it round like this, then you have this form which mirrors that. So if you flip it round, it's the same. So we have been working with part of this form already. And I'm saying that so that you don't get, feel that you're never going to manage. This form, you should practice this form. You could start off by practicing it in reverse as well. So that would then look like a small hill going into a deep valley, and then coming back up into a small hill, and then curving round, and then come into the middle of your deep valley, create your loop, and then come down and back out and meet up with your form. So here, you can see here, I can even adjust it so that it becomes more like what I want. So, as always, just work with your form so that it becomes what you want. The other thing you should do is you should practice this form on the sides. Although we're not going to draw it exactly in the middle and on the sides, it will still give you a good amount of practice that you'll need for the complex form later on. So you start off with a small curve, build into a large curve, come into a small curve, loop round into the middle of the large curve on the side, and come back out and meet up with your line where you started it. And do go over your form so that you end up feeling confident with how you draw the form, so that it's correct and that it looks harmonious. And when I say harmonious, it's important that the loop here in the middle really sits in the middle of the larger curve. So this loop should sit in the middle, and this loop here should sit in the middle of this large curve. And of course, these two smaller loops should be kind of roughly the same size as well. So that's what I mean by harmonious. And you likewise, you should practice doing this form this way around. So you would do it, I'll draw it small here so you can see it, but essentially it's a mirror image of this. So you need to draw I'll start it from the bottom because that's where we'll draw it. So a small curve into a large curve, into a small curve, and then come round into the middle, create your loop, come back out and meet your line where you started it. So this is what it would look like in small, but try and make your form large. Don't draw it as small as this because it'll be a fiddle. It's better that you draw it big like this, and you can see how big it is compared to my hand. So draw it big, and then you'll be well set up for drawing the form that I'll show you next week.